I think it's the thrill of getting the Jeep dirty and just having like getting through mud and having that because I love to get into mud and get like stuck on purpose. I do love rock climbing, but I think with the I know everyone's gonna be like, why you like mud? You're gonna get so much rust. And like it is annoying to clean up, but it's like
Yep.
have fun and have the cleanup after. But I think it's just the thrill of just like getting through like, no, you can't go with like, regular normal on the road car and just go through mud and not get stuck or
Yep.
not get muddy. And then you can have that ability of that power to just like plunge through. So I think that's why.
Are you into four-wheeling, camping, and exploring? How about off-road racing like mud bogs, short course, wheel-to-wheel racing, or even desert races? Well, you've come to the right place. Welcome to 4x4 Canada podcast. My name is Wes, and I've been four-wheeling since I was 6 weeks old. I have over 20 years experience in 4x4 shops, many more than that in the off-road racing, and a lifetime of exploring the backcountry across Canada. Every week, we bring you a new guest where they give you their perspective on the industry. We discuss everything from four-wheeling, overlanding, every form of off-road racing across this great country, as well as we talk to Canadian manufacturers and 4x4 shops. Just a quick reminder that if you're looking for more episodes, you can find all of our episodes on 4x4canadapodcast.com or your favorite podcast sharing platform. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at 4x4canadapodcast.com. Now let's get to the show. This episode will be a little different than usual in that we do not have a guest, and it'll be just us hosts talking about some of the exciting changes coming to the 4x4 Canada podcast. That's right. I said we and us. At this time, I'd like to officially introduce my new co-host, Trisha. Hello, Trisha.
Hello. Hi, Wes.
So you may have heard Trisha on a few episodes already, and we haven't really had a chance to discuss who Trisha is and why she's on the 4x4 podcast. First of all, our listeners can find you at redbeast_JL on Instagram, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah. So just to recap, Trisha was a guest with Nikki back in March where we talked about the GTA Jeep Girls, which is a Southern Ontario group of women dedicated to living the Jeep life, which, by the way, is the second most listened to episode of the 4x4 Canada podcast history.
Yeah.
So we had an interview with Vil from Crave Automotive in Calgary, and he's still number one. That's mostly because he's a Toyota. So you Jeep people got to catch up and listen to that episode with the GTA Jeep Girls if you want to be, better than Toyota, which I don't know is possible. But. So anyways, after the interview, Trisha got a hold of me and a few days later and said she had fun and wanted to know how she become more involved. And I asked if she wanted to be a co-host, and there she is.
Here I am. Thank you. Thank you.
Did you realize how much work it was going to be?
No, I did not. But I anticipated it. I did think. I'm like, you know what? It's going to be a lot of work. I'm going to, get to get in my comfort zone, get to talk to people and get them on the show. But you know what? It's been a really fun ride so far, and it's going to be fun. I'm excited, and thank you for having me, and thank you for letting me join the podcast.
It's been a pleasure. You've been a big help on the backside. I mean, just for our listeners, it's not just us showing up or just saying, hey, can you want to come onto the show? We actually do a lot of research on our guests beforehand so we can have a good podcast and have good questions that I think that our listeners will enjoy. And so it's actually a lot more work than a lot of people think. We go through, we do our research, we pre-plan a lot of the questions, and also allow the guests to have a look at the questions so they don't get the deer in the headlight look. And then of course schedules too. I mean, you're in Ontario, I'm in BC, you're in the health industry. So, I mean, your schedule's all over the place, and plus trying to make a schedule with a guest as well. So it's definitely interesting, but it's working out. I think you're going to be a great addition because you bring something that I don't understand, and that's women. And but it brings a whole nother perspective to the podcast, right? There's different things about, you're a Jeep girl, I'm a Toyota boy, former Jeep guy, but there's just brings a whole nother perspective, I think, to the show, right? So,
right.
And, there's, conversations. Yeah. Exactly. Right. I mean, we had conversations with some of the lady guests, and you're able to know what to ask them, the questions that I wouldn't think about asking. And, but then again, like our last episode with Rory Brown,
Yeah,
you more listened than anything because it was almost sort of a learning experience for you, right? So,
definitely. Yeah,
it,
definitely.
yeah, definitely different. So, like I said earlier, Trisha, you're a Jeep girl. How did you get started in the Jeep world?
So how it all begun. Okay. So let's see. It's way back. I'm joking. A few years back, I ended up losing my car on the side of the road, basically. So I was driving a Ford and I guess, beat it out of it and it had its time and kind of died. So here working in the healthcare industry and like I need a car, I need something reliable. I started looking at all different kinds of cars, all different makes. I'm very I'm not tied down to anything. I'm very kind of open person. So I'm like, you know what? Let's check out Audis. Let's check out Chevrolets. Let's do this. Let's do that. So I'm looking. And my partner, formerly us, also had a Jeep, 2008 Jeep Wrangler, yes. And basically got rid of it, didn't drive a Jeep any longer. But we're like, you know what? Let's go look at Jeeps. Started looking at Jeeps, and at that time I didn't even know like where to begin. I looked at, JKs, look at a few JLs, and I even looked at the Cherokees, like the new Grand Cherokees, which are really nice as
Yeah.
well. And just couldn't pin it back down. And then I left that and I went to an Audi. So I went to that and I was very close, very close. And then I'm like, let me go back. One day we were just looking online and came across some Jeeps at a dealership nearby, and there was a red Jeep. And we're like, you know what, let's go check out this Jeep. I'm like, I don't really know about the color. I don't really, I might want a white Jeep. I might want a white Jeep. And then, went to the dealership. I get there. As soon as I walked up to that Jeep and saw that red firecracker red, I was like, oh my God, I think this is it. I think she's mine. Went on a test drive. I was done. I'm getting this Jeep. And a couple of days later, I got the Jeep.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's where kind of all started. Then shortly after that summer, I took her off-roading for the first time, bone stock.
And how was that for a feeling? Were you nervous?
Oh, so nervous, so nervous. I think my nervousness did come from, I think, just meeting and having that social anxiety of meeting a big group of people who already, probably off-roaded before. They have tons of
Yep.
experience. Their Jeeps are probably totally modified. So for me, I was like, okay, one, I'm a woman going to like an event that's probably male dominated, which it was. A
Yep.
couple of ladies, but most of the ladies are passengers. And then yeah, just having that, the confidence of like, okay, what can I do in this Jeep? Like what am I gonna learn? What's it gonna happen? Am I gonna damage it? Like I just bought this like expensive vehicle. But like the group that I went with, which is a Central Off-Road group, Jeep Club, which I still be with today, they were so, so welcoming. A lot of the guys, were like, this is it. Like you're gonna go, it's gonna begin, and you're gonna become addicted. And
It's like a drug.
it's like a drug. And it was right. And, I hit a trail. I think I did. It was Gooderham. It was Gooderham, my first trail. I know it's like a level, I think, 2 or something. Hit my undercarriage. I think I hit like a muffler, got a little flat, hit some bumps. And I'm like, okay, first thing, getting lifted. That's my first thought leaving that trail. And it's funny because now, doing my own trail runs and, going and having the experience now, I tell people, I'm like, you know what? You're going to feel nervous your first time. And I did
Yep.
too. It's expected. It's going to go, trust me. But it's just a learning experience. I think it's for anything that you kind of like just go and pick up and you learn, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's, it doesn't matter whether you're shooting a gun or riding a skateboard or, going four-wheeling. The first 5 times you do something,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be nervous about it. And especially going to meet a group of people, which I know that there's the Four-Wheel Drive Association that's in Ontario. the they do the some of the what they call the newbie runs or and stuff like that as well. And same thing with the World Drive Association in BC. They have newbie runs every month as well. And that's a
Mhm,
great place for people that are new to the sport to go.
mhm.
And just the big thing is just getting out there and doing it,
It's
right?
amazing.
But sometimes it's like, like you mentioned, there's all these people and they know what they're doing and I have no idea.
No idea.
But
But,
congrats on getting over the over the nerves.
thank
So
you.
you
Thank
lifted it.
That's
What kind
the
of
first thing.
what happened next?
So what happened next? So it's like, okay, let's do some research. Let's see what this baby can do. So after, wheeling a couple of times with them, Jeeps and then other for off-road for runners and Toyotas, everything. They could, they're very capable of going off-road stock.
Hmm.
You really
Yeah.
don't even need to if you don't want to. They're capable. They're made to do this stuff. So, but for me, I'm like, you know what? I think this is something I'm probably going to indulge in a little bit more. So I did do my lift first with my tires. So I went with a 2.5 Terraflex inch lift. And then I threw on some mud terrain. So I'm running some 35s
Mhm.
mud terrains right now. And I think I put rock rails as well at the same time. So I did like that whole kind of package. I did like, let's do boom, let's do everything. So I
Yeah.
did that. Once I had the comparison from the stock to that after, I'm like, wow, okay, she's looking like she goes places now. So that was the first thing I did with her. Yeah. My first mod actually that I did my own, I changed my stock antenna. Fun fact. I took off that long wire antenna, and that was my
Yeah.
first my stubby antenna. That was my I did proudly myself.
And you've done some other things too, like you got the soft top on there too, right?
So I recently did that. I think it's my second summer with it. So I was talking to you off air about this, but like when I did get my Jeep, I kind of had like a vision once I started looking at different products that were around.
Yeah.
And for me, I was definitely going to be like a soft top girl. I was definitely going to be like the one taking off my doors, soft top in the summer. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to, look into soft tops. And for me, I just had this vision of having like a track top. I wanted that
Yeah.
slant to back look with like the bold red. So I got that on like this my second summer with it. And I ran it all year actually last year. This is the only first winter. This past winter I took it off and switched back to the hard top. But yeah, and now living the soft top life.
I
Thank you.
love the slant black. It looks really good. It looks
Yeah.
really sharp.
Yeah.
And you mentioned to me the other day that you're about due for new tires as well, too,
I'm
right?
due. I'm due. I'm like trying to
What are
get
you going with?
but we won't talk about that yet. But no, I'm gonna go with the 35s because it is my daily driver right now.
Yeah.
So once I maybe change that, I can change it to something that I don't have to drive every day and have the wear and tear. And the thing about going with bigger than 35s, it's like regearing, changing
Yeah.
axles, and just like there's a lot more commitment, a lot of more things that you have to change just to, perform at that level, which is fine. And, also being in the city, we're very like, smack mac, Toronto, like in the outskirts. So being in the city, I know a lot of people do it, which is like totally cool. I love you guys for doing it. Running
But there's things like underground parking and all that kind of
yeah,
stuff you got
that's
to
the
worry
thing,
about,
like
right?
underground parking, some of my girls, my crew, sometimes they call me, they're like, "Trish, I'm coming over, but I can't fit in your underground parking." So like, where am I gonna park? So yeah, so I will be I'm learning into the Nidos. So I'll be getting the Nidos mud terrains 35s and throwing those on. So that'll be fun.
Cool.
Exciting. So that'll be before this wheeling season has officially started. So soon, soon enough, soon enough.
Nice. And it's something like I've seen a lot of your photos and stuff like that. And
Mhm,
you're not just out on a country road, you're actually wheeling this thing, which is awesome.
mhm,
Right.
mhm.
I think I've seen a lot of the photos where you're on rocks and stuff
Yes.
like that. So you're not scared to get out and get it
No.
and four wheel with it anymore. Right. So that's
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
So here's something that you may not realize
Mm.
in BC, we're not allowed to take our doors off.
What? It's blasphemy. Why?
It's the only province in Canada that because basically their thought process on it is that if it came with doors, then it
Yeah.
has to have doors.
Mm.
So the last Jeep that came with an option of no doors was the Jeep CJ7, and the last year for that was 1986. So any of your TJs, JKs, JLs, they all have to run doors.
Wow. That is interesting. Wow, that's very interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So I can't
Yeah.
come
Something.
wheeling doorless in these. Noted.
And even a lot of guys have even gotten tickets for the tube doors
Oh,
because
really?
it's not a factory
On
door.
a factory
Yeah.
door. Okay.
Yeah.
Because a
So
lot of
it's,
people have started running the tube doors here too.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The tube doors, a lot of them look really good, right? So,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
yeah.
Have more added
So,
safety and yeah.
sorry.
Okay.
So, in a recent interview,
Mhm.
we were talking about rocks versus mud, and you voted for mud.
Yes.
You're, what is it with the mud? What do you get? What do you like about the mud?
I think it's the thrill of getting the Jeep dirty and just having like getting through mud and having that because I love to get into mud and get like stuck on purpose and then get some of the girls to pull me out. Like, okay, let's go, recovery time, let's go, get those men done. So for me it's like a fun slash like learning experience when I like
Yeah.
have like newer people with me. I do love rock climbing, but I think with I know everyone's gonna be like, "Why you like mud? You're gonna get so much rust." And like, it is annoying to clean up, but it's like
Yeah.
have fun and have the cleanup after. But I think it's just the thrill of just like getting through like, no, you can't go with like, regular, normal on the road car and just go through mud and not get stuck or
Yeah.
not get muddy. And then you can have that ability of that power to just like plunge through. So I think that's why.
And it's a splashing up and stuff like that
Splashing.
too, right? So let's briefly recap on two things we discussed in the past: GTA Jeep Girls and the Not a Pavement Princess events.
Mhm,
Can
mhm.
you maybe explain to our listeners a little bit about those?
Sure. So the GTA Jeep Girls. So it's a all female, woman only Jeep club here in the GTA. We've recently opened 10 chapters, so all over outside of GTA, which is kind of like London, Tri City, which is kind of like Guelph, Kitchener, Waterloo area. Then we have Barrie. So and Durham. Our group right now, we are sitting around 1,700 Jeep Girls in our Facebook group. We do have an Instagram also, GTA Jeep Girls, so you can follow us there. But the group was founded right around COVID time by Nikki, who's our founder, and just started with like, a couple of Jeep's friends, basically. And she started the group on Facebook, and I was on Facebook one day and it kind of just popped up in my feed. Here's a new, Jeep group. And I looked at it, I'm like, yes, finally. And then I just joined right away. So yeah, we kind of grew. We have events all year round, probably every month. And it's just kind of like, it's really diverse, really, no mean girl. Like we just kind of like meet up for meets. We do random meets sometimes. We just do, meet up in a parking lot, go for ice cream, and there could be like 40 Jeeps. Or we can have like a trail run, and then there's like, I'm taking 20 girls on a trail run, movie run. So it's very like diverse in that way where we do like multiple events. And yeah, it's just like follow us there. And speaking of another all female kind of event is the Not a Pavement Princess, which is an event that's held twice a year right now. And it's held by Amber, who is the founder of that group. So you can find them on Facebook at Not a Pavement Princess Official and also on Instagram. So basically, it's a event for women only and passengers are welcome, of course, but women only, also led by women who lead the trails, and the trails that they go on are from beginner to expert. So they wheel all over, Ontario, Minden, Bobcaygeon area. And basically, it's a whole day you kind of go meet up, do a trail run, and then after they have like a barbecue kind of end of the day thing. And I've actually been at the event from the beginning since she's founded it, which would be the fifth year this year. So I've been every year. I started going as like a newbie and done the newbie trail runs there. And now I'm doing the expert ones where we do like private land, more of the harder trails. And, but it's just an awesome day. And for the ladies who just want to do like try something different or, push a little bit edge and do something more and just to be comfortable in like all female environment, I think that's great too.
Mhm.
And yeah, so if anyone wants to check it out, definitely check it out. There's an event coming up in July that you can register for. So yeah, it'll be fun.
And it's also a fundraiser for the local women's shelter as well,
It
I
is,
believe,
yeah.
right? So
So yeah, so
a
proceed.
great cause as well.
Definitely, definitely.
And we've done interviews with both of these groups. As
Mhm.
you mentioned, Nikki and yourself came on with the GTA Jeep girls.
Yeah.
So, and then Amber came on with the Not a Pavement Princess event. And both were great interviews. And if
Mhm.
our listeners have not heard those interviews yet, definitely worth going back and listening because both are really good, really informative, and definitely empowering towards women. And with both of these groups or events, they're pretty much wide open to any women, right? It doesn't matter
Mhm.
if you're 72 or if you're,
Exactly.
16, right? So,
Exactly.
and that's, I think is it's a great thing for
Yeah.
sure. So, yeah. So that is pretty much Trisha.
Yeah.
That's yeah, definitely. I'm really happy to have you on board. I'm really glad, and like I say, I think you're going to bring it's a different voice, so people don't get getting tired of my voice all the time, and you get your laughter in there, and but it also brings like another perspective, right? So you've been working behind the scenes. You've got some really neat guests coming up on board. We have, I believe it's Michael
Yeah.
next week.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe if you want to give a little heads up about what is up with Michael coming up in next week's interview.
Yeah, so Michael and I met through a mutual trail run, I should say. So I'll give you a funny story to tell. But he is part of the Forerunners of Ontario. So we're going to talk to him more about his group. And, they're such a diverse group of just all different vehicles. So that's going to be really interesting to hear about. Just not, Jeeps and Tacomas and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to hear like what kind of vehicles, off-roading with them. I did have like a little sneak peek and got to catch up with them on a trail the past last week. So got to see some interesting vehicles I would never think that went, off-roading. So they're a big group as well here in Ontario. They had such a large group with them on that trail run. So he comes also from like an overlanding background as well. So he does like overlanding. He does a lot of nice photography. So it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be a nice, interesting perspective, like of more about that stuff coming up.
Yeah, and he's got a beautiful Forerunner. I've been
Beautiful.
checking him out on Instagram, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. So,
Yes.
yeah, I'm really looking forward to next week's interview with him for sure.
Mhm.
So, and we've got some other things coming up. I know you're working on a couple of other interviews as well, and I've got some things coming up. We can't really say until we get them booked, kind of idea, right? But
Mhm.
we're trying to, both Trisha and I are trying to spread it out a little bit too. So it's not just a BC and Ontario show. A couple weeks ago we had the boys from Nova Scotia on,
Mhm.
and so we're trying to get more area covered, but also not just overlanding or not just Jeep people and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
like I say, once we get some of these other people actually booked, we've done all the research, and it's just a matter of time to get our timelines together to do these interviews. But it's going to be some really neat ones coming up. So, yeah. So, besides Trisha,
Mhm.
there's a few other things happening at the 4x4 Canada podcast. We want to start doing some product reviews on our YouTube channel. If you're not a subscriber, please check it out. It's pretty simple, 4x4 Canada podcast on YouTube. And what we've been doing so far is just basically posting those little 30-second to 1 minute long promo clips. And I've also been putting up some of the podcast interviews up there, but with no like one or two pictures spaced throughout it. So one of the things that we do want to start doing is some more product reviews on our YouTube channel. And we also want to start doing some giveaways on Instagram as well. And just as a fun thing. And it really helps with our marketing partners for them, good coverage for them and good coverage
Mhm.
for us as well too. So having said that, if our listeners have a product that they would like us to do a review on, or would like to team up for a giveaway, please contact us. And whether it be on Instagram or off the website. In regards to the interviews, or sorry, the product reviews, it's going to be stuff that we will give our honest opinion on.
Mhm.
And if we don't like it, we'll be honest about that and say that we don't like it. But
Mhm.
there's most of the products out there these days are pretty good, and there's pros and cons with every product, and we will explain that. But we don't want it to be people thinking that we're just doing a good product review because somebody gave us a product. Some of the product reviews I do have coming up I paid for outright, but they're going to be good, honest product reviews, not just here's a salesy thing and
Mhm.
shove it down your throat kind of idea, right? So yeah. Now, having said that, there is a number of costs that I pay for each month,
Mhm.
such as hosting, etc. And we are working with some companies for advertising the product on our podcast and the social media. So coming up, you may hear some ads for some companies, and it's the same thing. We're not doing it just because somebody wanted to partner with us. It has to be a company that we believe in.
Mhm.
And there's been some really good guests on here in the past that has some really great companies and really good customer feedback and that. So it won't be mattresses and stuff like that. It's going to be products that we believe in, and or companies that we believe in, because we don't want to just be, again, one of those companies that just have anything on for an ad. But this income will help cover some of those monthly costs, as well as go towards purchasing equipment that will help us make a better quality podcast for you. And like I say, we don't want to put an overbearing amount of advertising on there, a couple ads per podcast. And we want the companies to be relative to our content. So I think we're going to more focus on good quality advertisers and go from there. That's some of the stuff that we're working on behind the scenes. And we don't want to make a living off it, but we want to be able to help cover some of the costs, because unlike YouTube, there's actually a lot of costs that go into a podcast every month. There's different programs to run, and there's different hosting and that. So just want to give people a heads up not to be freaked out when they see or when they hear an ad on the podcast. So that's what all I got to say on that. That's a bit of a ramble, I know. So what do you got coming up this summer, Trisha? Let's hop back to the fun stuff.
The fun stuff. So this summer, I've had, a couple of trail runs so far, and with the GTA Jeep Girls, so going to be more of that coming up. Some newbie runs. Going to be hitting the cottage this weekend with some of my close Jeep friends. I actually met through Jeeping and through the GTA Jeep
Awesome.
Girls. That's become really like family to me. So we're going to be doing that this weekend. That's one thing about off-roading community; they do become part of your family. So
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, I'll be hanging out with them this summer. Just going to be, working on the Jeep a little bit, working myself, just working. And probably a lot of people don't know, but this is my second summer I've picked up dirt bike. So I know it's not a typical off-road, 4x4, but it's a 2x2. So
Good for you.
yeah, so that's a new sport that I've picked up. So I'll be doing that along with the Jeep. So funny story is that I actually have a ramp. I should say not a ramp, not I should say that, but kind of like a bike carrier on the Jeep. So I'm able to throw my dirt bike on the back of the Jeep. So I basically do the trail with the dirt bike and then get off, get on the dirt bike and then do the trail again.
Now, you mentioned that your partner has a street bike. So
Yeah,
was it really a learning curve for you?
it was a learning curve. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
definitely different being on a two wheel, just being on a bike. It's just it's totally different experience, totally different experience. And like being on going on the exact same dirt trail in Jeep and being on a dirt bike it's just completely different, just a different perspective. You're going so much faster. You're
Yeah.
like, you're on nothing's around you. You're not surrounded in a car. You're just, you're out there. So a different, yeah, it's just totally different. But I love it. It's something, that I think just off-roading in general, I do love. And I think, still being fairly new in like the whole off-road area and arena, you learn so much. And I think when you go from like jeeping to ATV or dirt bike or, snowmobiling, it's still, you get that whole like different perspective on like different things
Yeah.
that you do off-roading. So definitely learning curve, but it's fun. It's fun, and I'm looking to learn more in that. I'm not going to be doing no 20-foot jump heights, which my family and friends think I'm going to be doing and throwing around. But no, I'm not doing that. I'll be on flat ground on a trail. That's it. Yeah, so I'll be doing that too. So fun
Sounds like
summer.
a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Over here in BC, I've got a couple things coming up this summer. As you know, I just
Mhm.
picked up a rooftop tent. I picked
Yeah.
up a tree line for a deal that I could not turn down.
Mhm.
And it had nothing to do with Treeline the company, although I do want to get them on the podcast. But it was just a deal for a brand new tree line and it wasn't stolen. It was a company that was selling trailers and they came with the tents, and some people didn't want tents. So they offered up 2 tree line tents for a smoking price. So
Wow.
I couldn't turn it down. So
Yeah.
I've got that, and I went out camping last weekend for my first time with it. And
Mhm.
this is my second rooftop tent that I've had. And
Nice.
it was awesome. It was great. And really looking forward to a lot more of that this summer. It
Mhm.
all depends on the weather. Like I said, today in Kamloops, BC, it was 37 degrees.
Wow.
So if the weekend's going to be that hot, I doubt I'll go camping. I'll probably
Mhm.
just hit the lakes with a kayak early in the morning
Mhm.
and relax in the AC at home
Yeah,
when
totally.
it's 35 or 37. But
Yeah.
I think that I'm hoping to get a lot more camping in this summer myself, and it all depends on the smoke and fires and all that, right? So
Yeah.
as you know, Northern Alberta's just absolutely all
Yeah.
totally on fire right now. So we're starting to see some smoke in the valley. Looking out my window right now, and I can see some smoke rolling in and that. So it all depends on if BC catches on fire too or not. So
Yeah.
see what happens with that. I do have the weekend booked off for the BC Off Road Expo or BC
Oh,
Overland Expo.
oh, nice.
So I do plan on going there, and
And
a
where's
lot of it's
in your
just a
area?
merit. So
Okay.
it's like an hour away from me.
Okay.
So in the past, this will be my first time going. In the past, they always had it. My year end is July 1st. So they always had it the weekend before, which is when I always do inventory. So this
Mm,
is the first time I'm going to be able to attend it. I'm not a huge, big crowd people person, but
mhm,
I think it'd be really good for the podcast to
mhm,
talk to some of the vendors that are there, and like we'll have a whole podcast around it,
mhm,
and also do some stuff for the YouTube, some rig walk around videos and stuff like
mhm,
that. So
mhm.
that's going to be exciting. That's going to be a good time. And I'm also hoping to hit the Alberta Outdoor Adventure Expo. And
Okay.
that might even be where the fires are right now. Actually, I think
Okay,
that's up
great.
towards Edson, Alberta. And that's on the September long weekend. So hopefully, as long as things all good with that area, then I'll be attending that as well. And Jason and Dave were on a while ago, the guys that organize it, or the main organizers, and we're talking about maybe even doing a live broadcast from there. So
Oh, that'd be
which would be
nice.
kind of cool. Yeah.
Cool.
So there's a few things rolling around that we're talking about. So, but again, it's going to be a lot of fun to meet a lot of our listeners and meet a lot of
Yeah.
the vendors that we've
Yes.
talked to, but we actually haven't met, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those are probably the two big things for this year, other than a lot of wheeling and a lot of camping and a lot of kayaking,
Mhm.
right? So kayaking is my zen for me. I enjoy it probably even more than the off-roading. So
Really? Okay.
it's just calming, relaxing. You can sit out
Um,
there,
yeah.
Sunday morning is out there and there's probably 15, 20 turtles. I was watching sunbathe on
Yeah.
the logs and stuff like that. Right. So it's just, to me, it's a good way to escape from the reality of life quite often.
Exactly.
Right.
And we need that sometimes. And I think like
Yeah.
for me, like just being I do like camping as well. It not fairly close at all to like, nice places. I have to go like a little bit further out. But you're right, like just to have that zen and just to like
Yeah.
escape reality and just to meditate and get back into like ground yourself
Well,
a little.
especially, I mean, I had some fairly serious family, as you know, some fairly serious family issues
Mhm.
over the last week or two,
Mhm.
and I just needed to escape, kind
Yeah.
of idea, right? I just need to be by myself for the weekend, and it was great. It was just total reset. Okay,
Reset.
come back in. Let's get this shit figured out
Yeah.
and move forward, kind of idea.
Yeah.
So it's great for that. So a combination of the kayaking and the camping, but yeah, it's going to be hopefully a good summer. I'm just praying that the fires stay away and go from
Anyway,
there. So
yeah, fires stay away, and then the fires do die down there in Alberta too. To any of our
yeah,
Alberta listeners,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I feel so bad for so many people out
yeah,
there that there's so many people that are evacuated, and
yeah,
there's all kinds of rumors floating around about everything, and I just hope that it works out for people, right? So
exactly, exactly.
yeah, well, it's going to be an interesting year, and we are coming up on at the end of July will be our 1 year anniversary.
Yay!
So yeah, so I'm kind of thinking of a few different things. Obviously, there's going to be a special episode for the 1 year, and obviously, I'd like to have you on, but also bring back Mike from the Unexpected Off Road. He was
Okay,
the guest on the first episode,
yeah, that'd be
so
awesome.
yeah, I like to bring him in and then just do a recap. Just follow up of the year, what happened and stuff like
Mhm,
that. And
mhm,
I'm also going to be contacting some of our previous guests as well to see what's going on with them and ask them for a little update. And maybe I can get a few sound clips or something like that from some of the former guests and that. But
mhm.
yeah, 1 year. And yeah, we've had some really interesting interviews. Somebody asked me a while ago what my favorite one was, and I can't. They're like my children. I can't pick a favorite one, right?
Favorite.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but there's been so many different ones.
there's
Like
been a
it's
lot. There's been a lot,
yeah,
and like just listening to like when you started to just till now, and just going like the other day, reminding you just to go to the YouTube channel, go to the podcast channel, but just going back and like listening and just seeing all the different guests you had, and just up to now, it's like wow, such a diverse and like from like you to like the history lessons and to this and to like it was just amazing and like having the last podcast with Rory and just soaking up all that knowledge and information and just meeting all these people is just amazing. It's amazing.
yeah. The interview with Rory Brown last week, that was something that I think was quite interesting, probably for you because you didn't
Mhm.
really know any of that, and I kind of grew up with it, so it wasn't. But for you, as a real,
Yeah.
just a history lesson, right? Like you
Yes.
said. So
Yeah.
it was really neat. But like you say, we have overlanders, we have off road racers, we have mud racers.
Hmm.
There's been everything from the ladies that went down to the Rebel Rally,
Yeah.
the positivity team. We've had YouTubers, Colin from Overlanding Overland. We've had G
Mhm.
from BC. We've had Teddy from Unwinding Roads. It's had some great YouTube people that have had some really good success on YouTube. And we've got more coming. I've been talking to a few more guys from YouTube that have got some really good followings, and it's going to be interesting to them. But we've got the mud racers. We've got, the husband and wife team, Leanna Davies and her husband David. They've got the big mega trucks with,
Yes, the mega tracks.
2,000 horsepower and all that stuff,
I
right?
love
So
the tracks. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we're just gonna keep on doing it and trying to spread it out between different things. But one thing is, I am going to try and also hit at least one of the mud races this year as well,
That'd be
and try
amazing.
and yeah, just
That would
do
be
do some
amazing.
interviews and do
Yeah.
some things. We can do a whole episode about that, right? So
Yeah.
and some do the get the Instagram in videos and stuff like
Mhm.
that. But
Mhm.
yeah, so stick with us, people. We've got a lot coming up. It's going to be an exciting year. It's been a huge year. It's been a growing year. I can't believe the response that I've gotten from everybody, and every episode I think is getting better and better. So, and definitely with you coming on board is a welcome addition because I think people are getting tired of hearing my voice only. So
Happy to be
it's
here. Happy to be here. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun ride. It's gonna be yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be
yeah,
great. Yeah.
awesome. But yeah, we'll wrap that up for today. And once again, just check us out on 4x4 Canada podcast on YouTube, Instagram, and on Facebook.
Mhm.
And I can't wait to see what next week brings.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night.